Okay, good morning. We are in chapter 6 in Sefer Shmuel Bet, second Shmuel. Like I did in the last chapter, I want to read once the beginning all the chapter, and then we're going to see with details just to see the general story before entering into the details. I just say that generally the chapter is about two attempts to bring the Ark to Jerusalem. So since the first Shmuel in the beginning, the Ark was separated from the Mishkan, from the tabernacle, and it was in place called Kiryat Yarim. Because if you remember the story about the war with the Plishtim, that they took the Aron, they tried to return it, and it didn't work, and in the end it ended in Kiryat Yarim, which is in the tribe of Yehuda, in the inheritance of the tribe of Yehuda, near Jerusalem, not far away from Jerusalem, but it was there separately. And when David made Jerusalem his capital, he wanted to bring it to Jerusalem. He tried twice. The first time it's failed and it's ended with tragedy. We will see about the details. And the second time it succeeded. So this is the topic of this chapter. It's direct continuation of the former chapter. In the former chapter, we saw the establishment of the kingdom as the kingdom of Olam Israel with the capital in Jerusalem. And now, after establishing the secular kingdom, we are adding the part of the Kodesh, of the holiness of the Mishkan, starting with the Aaron, but not ending with it. So after that, it's going to be also the tabernacle itself, and in the end, of course, we're going to see in Sefer Melachim that the Beit HaMikdash is built in Jerusalem. So David again assembled all the best soldiers in Israel, 30,000 strong. Then David and all the troops that were with him set out from Baalim of Judah. The word Baalim of Judah, it's maybe another name for the same place. It's maybe also like the important people from Yehuda. To bring up from there the Ark of God, to which the name was attached. The name God of Hosts, enthroned on the cherubim. So here we have a little bit difficulties in the Hebrew sentence. It says, שנקרא שם, שם השם צבאות, יושב הכרובים עליו. It's hard a little bit to understand the Hebrew here, but what it says that this ark has the name of God on it. That's basically what it says. They loaded the ark of God onto a new cart and conveyed it from the house of Avinadav, which was on the hill. And Avinadav's sons, Uzzah and Achio, guided the new cart. They conveyed it from Avinadav's house on the hill, Uzzah walking alongside the Ark of God, and Achio walking in front of the Ark. So the parenthesis here is according to the Mefarshim, right? That explains this verse. Again, also the Hebrew here is not very clear. Uzzah walking. So anyway, both sons of Avinadav were going away along the Ark, together with the Ark. They conveyed it, yeah, we read that. Alongside, yes, so that's it. Okay. Meanwhile, David and all the house of Israel danced before God to the sound of all kinds of cypress wood instruments with lyres, harps, hand drums, sistrums, and cymbals. A lot of details about that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kinds of instruments, musical instruments that they use in this big celebration. But it doesn't say but in Hebrew, but the but here is quite the opposite of the big joy is what happened next. But when they came to the threshing floor of Nachon, Uzzah reached out for the Ark of God and grasped it, for the oxen had stumbled. Big mistake. God was incensed at Uzzah, with rage at Uzzah, and God struck him down on the spot for his indiscretion, and he died there beside the Ark of God. David was distressed the word here, va'ichar, is upset. Distress, like in under stress, but it was also in rage. Yeah. Va'ichar le David, there is an interesting comment of Malvi. He says, when you say someone is angry with something else, you say va'ichar af. Va'ichar af Hashem be, like here, for example, the former verse, the former verse says, va'ichar af Hashem be'uzah. Hashem was enraged against Uzzah. Here, it doesn't say va'ichar af be, meaning it's not about others, it's about himself. He was upset with himself. Va'ichar le David. David was distressed because God so he wasn't distressed about God, against God. It was about himself. This is, I think, a nice, an accurate explanation of Malbim here. So David was distressed because God has inflicted a breach upon Uzzah, and that place was named Peretz Uzzah, as it is still called. It's interesting, in the former chapter we read about Peretz Rephaim. Peretz, litparetz, it's like to attack or to go out with strength, with power. And in the former chapter it was Peretz Rephaim because it was against the Plishtim lost in Emek Rephaim. It was against them. It was a positive note, right? It said Peretz Rephaim. And here it's Peretz Uzzah, it's in a negative. Both cases it's attacks. In the former place is attacks against the enemies of Israel. Here it's attack against Peretz, which is, of course, Jew, one of the people that was in charge to bring the Aaron.
Rabbi, supposing he did not grab the ark because the oxen stumbled and it fell off the cart.
Who was to blame? We'll talk about that. We see the details. What exactly was the sin and why the reaction is so strong? I mean, you can make mistake. You don't have to die in the place.
Unless they are, this is doing, I don't know what terminology to use on this, they're sort of making it into a situation. Perhaps it fell on him and it killed him.
The Aaron killed him?
Yeah. It fell on him.
It's maybe...
God killed him because he put his hands on it.
It's maybe the practical interpretation, meaning how exactly Hashem killed him, it doesn't say.
No.
He says that Hashem killed him. Maybe he killed him under the ark. It's maybe because the ark was quite a heavy thing. It was made out of gold. It was, if I remember correctly, it was 1 amma or 2 amot. I don't remember. But it was like a heavy box. And the tablets were made out of stone, were inside. So it was quite a heavy stuff. Or maybe that's a practical way that Hashem killed him, but still what the Tanakh clearly says, that he was killed for the will of God as a punishment for his action. And Amatayim v'chetzi and Ama v'chetzi, maybe, yeah. So it's like one was more than 1 meter and Ama v'chetzi govo. So it's quite a heavy box, and especially if you have the tablets inside it that was made out of stone. It says that it was very heavy, that Moshe had a special miracle that he could hold the tablets. But again, the question here is, what exactly was the sin? Why it was so severe? And that the reaction was so decisive? Why it's so strong? So David was distressed. David was afraid of God that day. That day, before that, he wasn't afraid of God. That day he was afraid even more than usual, but maybe it's a point here. He said, how can I let the ark of God come to me? It's too dangerous. So David will not bring the ark of God to his place in the city of David. Instead, David diverted it to the house of Obed Edom the Gittite. So, David, I don't want that with me. Too dangerous, I leave it there. The ark of God remained in the house of Obed Edom Gittite 3 months. And God blessed Obed Edom and his whole household. So the ark is bringing blessing, not only death. So David sees that. It was reported to King David, God has blessed Obed Edom What was exactly the blessing? There are different explanations. Anyway, he was blessed, clearly blessed, in a way that it was reported to David. God has blessed Obed-Edom house and all that belongs to him because of the Ark of God. Thereupon, David went and brought up the Ark of God from the house of Obed-Edom to the city of David amid rejoicing. When the bearers of the Ark of God has moved forward, what's happened to the cart? The bearer of the Ark. Why didn't bring it with cart now? Okay. When the bearers of the Ark of God had moved forward 6 paces, he sacrificed an ox and a fatling.
He was afraid that it's going to be a mistake again. What happened to
So it was a mistake to bring it with a cart?
Yeah, the last one.
We talk about that. Yeah. David whirled with all his might before God. David was girt with a lined ephod. Thus David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of God with shouts and with blast of the horn. At the ark of God is shofar, right? Horn here is shofar. As the ark of God entered the city of David, Michal, daughter of Shaul, looked out of the window and saw King David leaping and whirling before God, and she despised him for it. She said to herself, "You look like a clown." They brought in the ark of God and set it up in its place inside the tent that David has pitched for it. And David sacrificed burnt offering and offering of well-being before God. When David finished sacrificing the burnt offering, the offering of well-being, he blessed the people in the name of God of hosts. And he distributed among all the people, the entire multitude of Israel, men and women alike, to each a loaf of bread, a cake made in a pan, and the raisin cake. So David also was in the kitchen, like Philip here, right? Yeah. Then, I don't think he prepared it for himself, but then all the people left for their homes.
He served it.
He served it, right? David sent people to serve it, meaning it was from part of David, didn't each and every one. Yeah. David went home to greet his household, and Michal, daughter of Shaul, came out to meet David and said, "Didn't the king of Israel do himself honor today, exposing himself today in the sight of the maidservant of his subject as one of the riffraff mate expose himself?" Yeah, it's like the passive-aggressive insulting. David answered Michal, "It was before God, who chose me instead of your father and all his family, and appointed me he ruler over Israel, God's people. I will dance before God and dishonor myself even more, and by law in my own esteem, but among the maidservants and that you speak of, I will be honored." So, to her dying day, Michal, daughter of Shaul, had no children. We saw that she already had children. When it says the names of the children of David, according to the Chachamim, one of them, it says son of Eglah. Eglah is Michal.
Maybe no more children?
Yeah, maybe no more children. And what does it mean until the day of her death? Including the day or until the day? Until is including. You can understand, yeah, until the death, she didn't have. Or in the last day, meaning she died when she gave birth. It's also one way to. Okay, anyway, we will return to that. What we see here, actually, there are 2 topics. The first attempt to bring the Aaron to Jerusalem that didn't work. The second attempt that worked, and we should ask ourselves what's changed. What was the problem in the first? What was right in the second? And then the conversation between David and Michal, this is another topic. Okay, anyway, let's start from the beginning, after we understand the whole picture, more or less, what's going on. Oh, no. Yeah, it's here. So David again assembled all the best soldiers in Israel, 30,000 strong. Just interesting Hebrew comment. You know what is Bachur? When we say in Israel, Bachur? Young guy, usually. In the modern Hebrew, hey, Bachur, come here.
Folks, lads.
Folks, yeah. Dude. Right? You can say usually dude. But the word Bachur come from the word livchor. Bachur, he was chosen, elected. Right? Livchor is to elect or to choose, which in Hebrew is the same word, livchor. And someone who is bachur, he was elected.
Like bchirot.
Yeah, bchirot is election, but I mean, or was chosen. He was chosen. So when it says bachur beIsrael, it called bachur beIsrael, doesn't mean all the dudes in Israel. It means all the chosen soldiers of Israel. And there are 30,000. It's interesting because the number of soldiers that Shaul usually have as a regular army. So the army in those days, like a little bit like today in Israel, it's based on regular army that always soldiers and reserves that are called upon war. And the regular army we saw several times in the times of Shaul was 3,000. Several times we say when Shaul had his 3,000 soldiers with him, right? At least 2 or 3 times. Here we see 10 times the 30,000, the 3,000. It may be, or that David had a much stronger army because he could unite all of Israel under his leadership, or that in order to honor the bringing of the Aron Kodesh, he brought from the reserve 10 times the regular army. And it's Vayosef, we can understand, he add, Vayosef od, he added more, or he assembled, le'asof, to collect. So he collect people especially for this mission because it was an important one. He understands that his kingdom is not complete, is not filled, not full without the Aron Kodesh in the right place. Right? It's the right time. I think in Sefer Divrei Yamim, all this story, of course, appears also in Sefer Divrei Yamim. Over there, he says because the Aron wasn't pursued or wasn't in the focus of the kingdom of Shaul. So this is also one of the mistakes. Shaul was worried and very busy in establishing the kingdom, but he didn't take the same attention in ordering the service of God in the Aron Kodesh, in the Mishkan, in the Beit Mikdash. And David says, now that we establish in our kingship and that we have our capital and everything is in order, we should bring the Kodesh to the center. It should be there. It's not disconnect between secular kingdom and the kingdom of heaven. It should be together. And I should bring, so he collected the soldiers, not only the soldiers of Am Yisrael, also from the people of Yehuda. That we say that David and all the troops that were with him set out from Baalim of Judah to bring up from there the Ark of God, to which the name was attached, the name of God of host and throne of the cherubim. Shem Hashem Tzvaot Yoshev HaKeruvim Alav. It's interesting that to see that the name of God is called here Hashem Tzvaot. Tzvaot is like armies, the armies of God. And this name of God, Hashem Tzvaot, is only started to be used in Sefer Shmuel, together with the kingdom. I think we spoke about it in the beginning of the book. It represents the full power of Am Yisrael, which unites the Kodesh and the Chol, the secular power and the holy power. And David said, this is about time to bring it to his right place, which is Jerusalem. Now, the intention was good, it was right. The execution was very bad. And there are here at least 2 halachic mistakes, which is really not clear how David made this mistake. So there are Mepharshim that are speaking about that, because the mistakes are really in the verses of the Torah. The Torah says that only the sons of Kehat, which are Levi, can carry the ark. And it's also said very clearly, Bakatef Isau, they should take it on their shoulders. And there is the story that the presidents of the tribes, they donated carts to carry things in the desert, and the carts were given to the sons of Merari and to the sons of Gershon, and not to Kehat. And it says clearly, why not to Kehat? Since the people of Kehat should carry the ark, they cannot use carts. So the Torah says that very clearly. It is not allowed to take the Aron with cart, and it's not allowed to do that with other people than the Leviim. Now, the people of Yehuda, of the house of Yonadav, who lived in Yehuda, weren't Leviim. They were Yehuda, from the tribe of Yehuda. So these are the two big mistakes. And the big question is how David made this mistake. He didn't know to read verses. Chas v'shalom, David knew the Torah. He was Talmid Chacham. Yeah, so it may be, so, and maybe, say, maybe just mistakes that God caused him to make that, like to forgot the basic. It's maybe, but the question still is why? Why would Hashem do that? It may represent some deeper misunderstanding or misconcept of how to treat their own Kodesh, or what is the purpose of our own Kodesh. So we were going to point out on several things, just in the simple level yet, still. There are two interpretations what was a mistake of David. The first one is that he saw that it should be taken in a cart only in the desert. In the desert, they moved from place to place, and there it was daily taken. So you know that the ark has these beams that they used to be taking it, and the Torah says clearly these beams should never be removed. Why is the Torah says should never be removed? Even when you arrive to Eretz Israel, you shouldn't remove the beams. Even though you don't go from place to place, you're in one place, the beams would never be removed, which could allude to the fact that it's also when you need to take it from place to place, it can only be taken by hand, not by other means, by cart. So this is maybe one mistake, that he thought that it was only for the desert, while it's for always. Always when you are moving the ark, it should be taken personally by the people of Levi. And the second way to explain that is maybe in the story of the Plishtim, they sent the Aaron on a cart. They couldn't take it. They put it on the cart and they let the cows go. Remember this story? They didn't ride the cows. They just let it go in the way, and they went by themselves to Bet Shemesh. Yes, and then after that it was moved to Kriyat Yarim. But he thought maybe we can see that it worked for the Plishtim, right? It worked for the Plishtim, so we can keep using this. This could allude again for influence of the Plishtim on Am Israel. We are honoring it more using our technology, while there should be a direct contact between the Kodesh and in the right way, with the right people. So this is something that, this was like the basic mistake, or before that Uzzah is trying to touch their own Kodesh. Now, a little comment about the names here. So this case reminding us at least two other stories in the Bible. The first story that is very, very similar is the sons of Aaron HaKohen, Nadav and Avihu. Right? Remember the story of Nadav and Avihu? There is the inauguration of the Mishkan. Everybody is happy, rejoicing when seeing the fire from God go down from heaven on the ark and on the altar and burning the offering. Everybody was rejoicing and happy about that. In that moment, Nadav and Avihu entered to make a Ktoret, and Hashem killed them too. So it's a very similar story to here. It's like some contact with the Kodesh that is not right. It's not according to the laws. And the reaction of God is immediate and very, very sharp. Right? It's absolute, immediately death, not playing around, not giving warning. You're doing this step and you are out. Right? One strike.
Similar to what happened to Aaron's son.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I just said. That when the sons of Aaron entered and did in the wrong way, that exactly hits them. The same as what happened with Uzzah here. Yeah, there is another story, less known because it's deep in Sefer Melachim, with a king called Uzziah. King of Yehuda. Similar name to Uzzah here, right? Look at the name, Avinadav, Nadav, Avihu, Uzzah, Uzziah. There are similarities in the names also that also represent this connection. And the story with him, he was a king, and he insisted that he wanted to do the sacrifice by himself. So he entered to Beit HaMikdash, and the Kohen Gadol was there begging him, don't do that. It's not your job. You are the king, you are not the Kohen. leave this job for the Kohanim, for the Leviim. It's none of your business to be here. He said that politely, but begging him, don't do that. And the king insisted, no, I'm going to do sacrifice myself. And it says that in the moment he entered and tried to do, it was tzarat on all of his face, on his front, right? Parchat tzara'at b'mitzcho, I think the verse says. He has tzarat in his front. So it was again a mistake. It wasn't a warning. He stopped being a king. His son took his place, and he was locked in his palace to the rest of his life, about 50 years. Yeah, it's not very nice. He was formally the king, but the practical king was his son. So again, we see he's approaching the Kodesh, not according to the rules, not the right person, and the answer of God is immediately. In this case, he didn't kill him, but immediately became Metzora. So,
punishments are severe.
what?
The punishments are severe.
Yeah, the punishments are very severe.
Not only David make mistake, all Kohanim, Leviim.
Yeah, all the people, but they did that according to his orders. He was a leader. He was responsible, right? אתה הראש, אתה השם. He's a leader. So, without entering into the exact details, generally speaking, we understand that the holier the thing is, the more dangerous is for the good and for the bad. I mean, it's more powerful for the good and for the bad. For one side, you can see it can bring a lot of blessing, like for the house of Obed-Edom Hagitti, which in Sefer Devarim it says clearly that he was Levi. Obed-Edom Hagitti was Levi, and in this case, it worked. It's bringing blessing. So when you are approaching the Kodesh, the holier the thing is, the more dangerous it is. It can bring a lot of blessing, but if you're not doing the things exactly the way God requires, it won't work. And every little mistake, like making mistake, this gives us example several times, in front of the king, is not like making mistakes in the slums. Right? I mean, when we're in the middle of the holiness, the most holy, that's the way you have to be more more careful, more cautious, and not do mistakes, because it's stronger, it's more powerful. It's like entering the synagogue, you are behaving different than when you are behaving in the halls, and different than when you are behaving in the markets. Right? It's not the same thing. And this is regardless of exactly what was a mistake. And another point here that this is maybe that we had to add is the fear is also come with awe, reverence. This is something that should be in our relationship with God, with opposed many times by mistake, but we create some kind of conflict with the feeling, the emotion of joy. You have to be happy. מצווה גדולה להיות בשמחה. And you have to serve God with joy and rejoice. But sometimes when you are going up the limit, you are losing the fear. This should be a combination of fear and love, joy and awe, right? The two things should be together with the balance, which is many times it's hard to find the exact balance. And when it's not coming together, you can go to one side and then you forget from the other side. So all the atmosphere, all the feeling over there was of overjoy. And that is the reason we are reading in verse A. Meanwhile, David and all the house of Israel danced before God to the sounds of all kinds of cypress wood instruments with lyres, harps, hand drums, sistrums, and cymbals. Yeah, they're doing noise. Why is this detailed description? To say maybe it was too much. In the end of the perek of the chapter, we'll see that David was doing that in front of the Aaron. When he did that in the right place, it wasn't too much, and it was good. Even Michal was wrong in her approach, while David was right. But when it's like in this way, when you are forgetting the limits, forgetting the lines, you can go from overjoy to forget the fear. And that was also, we can relate the mistake here. So this mistake of we are happy and we are dancing and singing and doing everything, make you forget the simple rules. You cannot carry it with cart. You cannot carry it with other people. I mean, when you're so happy, you say, leave the details. The details are not important. The right way to do that. So the sin is deeper than just, oh, I forgot it should be with people, it's not with God. Why did you forget? Because you were focusing on, I would say, love to God, like the sons of Aaron. Why do they want to enter? Because we feel so overwhelmed with our love to God. So we forgot the rules. Right? There is one way to approach God, in the way that is written in the Torah, to get closer to God. And if you are missing the details or ignoring the details, it's become, instead of mitzvah, it's become avera. Instead of doing the right thing, it's become doing the wrong thing. And this is a basic mistake that many times we do regarding Kodesh. Yes, the important thing is to join, to be happy, to feel connected. But what about the details? There are specific details how to connect. You should follow the details. You should follow the rules and not do the things from the way you think it is. So this is, I believe, what is the mistake here. There are some difficulties here in the verses, in the literal understanding of the words. It's first of all, it's repeat twice. It says, וירכיבו את ארון האלוקים על עגלה חדשה, וייסעו מבית אבינדב. And then, וייסעו מבית אבינדב. Why twice? אשר בגבעה ועוזו ואחיו באבינדב נוהגים את העגלה החדשה, וייסעו מבית אבינדב אשר בגבעה עם ארון האלוהים. What does it mean, עם ארון האלוהים? They took him, they took the ark. What does it mean, together with the ark? So, I don't know, there are several ways to try to interpret it. The first verse is generally what they did, they took it, and the second it's trying to explain a little bit more how they walked. One was in front, one was behind. And what it represents, the understanding that we should keep the Aaron, right? We should keep him from, and then comes the verse of the mistake. And when they come to the threshing floor of Nachon, Nachon is right or ready. In Divrei Hayamim, it's called Kidon. Kidon is a weapon, spear. So they say that it was ready to the place of God, but it was like a swear, and he killed a spear, and he killed. And then what's happened exactly? Uzzah reached out for the Ark of God and grasped it, for the oxen had stumbled. So we can understand this mistake in two ways. One, that he was sending his hand to support the Aaron. He thought that the ark is going to fall down, and he forgot that the ark is not falling down. Chachamim said, he forgot the Aaron noseh et nos'av. Chachamim said, there is a midrash that says that the Levim were taking the Aaron, but actually the Aaron was taking them. They were doing like they are taking, but it was too heavy. Actually, the Aaron was moving for himself. So the Aaron doesn't need you. Again, it can allude for a deeper misconception that God needs us. God needs us to hold him, to support him, to donate to the shul or whatever. God needs us. Without us, he cannot. And this is a deeper mistake. And another way to understand that it's not that he supported the Aaron, but he was falling and he was like leaning on the Aaron. He was going to fall. Kishamtu Abakar, he was maybe also on the cart, and then the cart was falling down, and he was falling, and he was like leaning on the ark. And in this case, the Aaron was for him, right? He was using the Aaron for his need. And in both cases, we have two opposite mistakes here, again, in our relationship for the holiness. We can say that. The question is, the Aaron is for you, or you are for the Aaron? Right? And the second question is, do you need the Aaron, or the Aaron needs you? And the answer is the opposite, meaning, from one side, we should put the holiness in the center. We are for them, not for that. Not this is for us. And that was a mistake also in the days of Shaul. They took before Shaul, in the days of Eli, they took the Aaron for the war to save them. Meaning we need the Aaron to help us in our interests. Right? This is the first mistake. And also here, there should be a question, why are you bringing the Aaron to Jerusalem? Because you want the Aaron for you, I mean, that the Aaron will support you, or because you want the Aaron to be in the middle of your life. So this is one mistake. And the opposite mistake, God needs me. I have to support him. Yeah, you have to do your obligations, but it's not because God needs you, right? So we can see that as another mistake. So we mentioned already 3 levels of understanding. The first level is just against the rules. And when you are engaging with the holiness, with the most holy, the holiest, right? You must be very careful and follow the rules. Every mistake in the rules, when it becomes to the center of the holiness in the world, can be very, very wrong, and with a lot of consequences. The second is the disbalance between fear and joy. Love and fear. We must love God, but we also have fear of God, and we should have respect and honor, and not cross the line between understanding the difference, the distance, and having love for Him, right? So we have to keep the balance and the limits between the two things. And I think also the third way of explaining that, or the third level, is what is a center and what is who is for whom? Who is for whom? We are for the Ark, or Ark is for us. So this we can understand the 3 kinds of mistakes. And like we said before, the answer of God was immediate and very sharp. God was incensed at Uzzah, and God struck him down on the spot for his indiscretion, and he died there beside the Ark of God. I just finished with the reaction of David. So what was the reaction of David? We said he was upset, distressed, and I think, again, with himself. Meaning something happened to you. You can start blaming all the world, like who did? Shaul many times. Why did you do the sacrifice before the time? Because the people told me. Why did they? Because that. He always has excuses. But David knows to say, it was with me. I did the mistake. I was wrong. So David was distressed with himself. Vayichar le David. As a result of the fact that God punished Uzzah. He didn't think that it was a fault of Uzzah only. He took it also upon himself. And he called this place in the memory. And he was afraid of God. David was afraid of God, meaning he developed what was missing. What was missing was the fear of God, and he now is having that. But he's not reacting immediately. He stopped to retest the situation. Do I really need the Aron Kodesh in Jerusalem? Should it be there? Maybe I'm only using it for myself. Maybe I don't know how to treat the Aron Kodesh correctly. And maybe it's too dangerous for Am Yisrael and for myself to have the Aron Kodesh in Jerusalem. So I'm just stopping for a second. And thinking it over again. Only when he saw after that it's bringing blessing, so you understand, okay, this blessing should come to all of Israel if we do that in the right way. There is a right way to have blessings from Aaron. We should learn and investigate what would be this right way. I just want to have one detail that I forgot to mention before. I mentioned before about the names, right? So we have here, it's alluding to the other stories. First, in Sefer Shmuel Aleph, it says that it's arrived to the house of Avinadav, and that his son Eliezer was in charge of this ark. The one who was in charge was Eliezer, the son of Avinadav. Where is this Eliezer? We have now other 2 sons, Achia and Uzzah. Where is Eliezer? Where did he disappear? So maybe it was, first you say, when he was older, or maybe these were the grandson, not the sons, maybe. There is an original explanation of Rabbi Wiener. I didn't see that in other places. Rabbi Menashe Wiener, he has an excellent class in Bible. It's from Yeshivat Ma'alot. So he says, Eliezer is Uzzah. And it's very similar to the stories that we mentioned about King Uzziah. In the case of King Uzziah, he has also 2 names. His first name was Azariah, and then after that, the Tanakh calling him Uzziah. So we see both cases. Eliezer, Ezer is helping or aiding, and Uzziah, it's become Uzziah. What is Oz? Oz is power, but you can say also azut panim. It's like being rude or being with chutzpah. How do you say chutzpah in English? There's no word for that, right? Being rude. Gol, nerve. Has the nerves.
Yeah. But chutzpah, everyone knows what chutzpah means.
Yeah. Yeah,
Where you see
chutzpah.
the word chutzpah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it's become from helping to chutzpah, right? Azariah, Uzziah. Oz, not in the positive meaning, but in the negative meaning. Also here, Eliezer become Uzzah, right? Instead of helping, you are becoming rude or with chutzpah to touch the Aaron Kodesh. So this is one games of names. And the second is, like we mentioned, Avinadav, remind us the name Nadav ve'Avihu. Avi, it's like Nadav, Avihu. Nadav, Avi, Nadav, Nadav, right? So we have the two names. So there are direct connections, alluding or in hinting, direct connection to these two stories, the stories of the sons of Aaron, the story of Uzziah, all of them, the misconcept of how we approach the holy place, right? And this is also was a mistake here. So David is stopping, reflecting, reconsidering, and only when understand that it's the right thing to do, he will try again to bring the Aaron Kodesh to Yerushalayim. Okay, yeah, we stop here.
Okay,